Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's story hit me hard. A wife, a false second kiss in the parking lot, and a worn-out envelope her husband had been hiding for 14 months. Grab your coffee and get comfortable. You're gonna wanna hear this one all the way through.
My hands were shaking so hard, I couldn't get the key in the lock. I stood next to our silver Toyota Camry, our 2017 model, registered under Justin's name. A dead mosquito was still stuck on the windshield from last week. I hadn't washed it off. I just stared at it. I didn't cry. My lips still tasted like dark coffee. And something else. The taste of a man who wasn't my husband. I wiped my mouth on my sleeve. The taste was still there. Across the parking lot, Ryan was walking back to his own car. He didn't look back. I was grateful for that. If he had turned around, I'm not sure what I would have done. I got in the car. I locked the door. The cabin was cold, and I sat there without moving. Justin's Yeti tumbler was still in the cup holder from that morning. There was cold coffee inside, with a thin, oily film on top. I looked at it like it was evidence of something. Of what? I didn't know yet. I pulled out of the parking lot at 11:51 p.m. The roads were empty. Highway 74 felt longer than usual at night. My headlights were the only thing moving. I stopped at a red light at the corner of Elm and Park. The light stayed red for 47 seconds. I counted. On second 30, I started crying. No sound, just tears running down my face. On second 47, I stopped. The light turned green. I drove on. I wasn't a victim here. I needed to say that to myself out loud, but I couldn't. I kissed him back. I leaned in first. He had tried to step away, and I had pulled him closer. That was me. That was my hand on the back of his neck. 3 years of marriage couldn't get me to talk about what was inside me. But 90 minutes with a man I hadn't seen since 2014 had cracked me open like an egg. I thought about Justin. He was probably asleep on the couch, with the TV still on. He always fell asleep with ESPN running. He had an HVAC job in Pineville at 6 in the morning. He had probably gone to bed early. He had probably set the coffee maker for me the way he did every Tuesday. He had filled up my gas tank the night before. He always did. Before my night shifts. 9 years. And not once did I ever have to stop for gas on my way to work. He never said anything about it. He just did it. The full tank was his way of saying, I love you. Be safe. I gripped the steering wheel and tried to hold back another wave. My chest felt tight, like I had been running, but all I had been doing was sitting still in a diner for 90 minutes. And then I had kissed a man for 4 seconds. 4. I had counted. I'll tell Justin. Tomorrow morning, before the sun comes up, I said it out loud. To the empty car. I won't fall apart in this car. I'll fall apart at home, where I can't run away from it. I pulled into our driveway at 12:23 a.m. The porch light was on. He had left it on for me. 12 hours earlier, I woke up at 5:40 inches the morning. Justin was already gone. He had an emergency call in Pineville at 5:20. The bed was still warm on his side. There was a note stuck on the refrigerator. He had used the chili pepper magnet from our trip to Cabo 5 years ago. The note said, Don't forget chicken's thawing. Love you. D. His handwriting was neat and plain, like the handwriting of a man who never had to apologize for it. I looked at the note for 3 seconds. Then I stuck it back up. I'd read it again later, I told myself. I always told myself that. My shift at the hospital started at 7. The first 6 hours were normal. I was on the OBGYN floor that day, which was usual. I helped with 2 births. Both went well. Both babies cried right away. Both mothers cried too, but the good kind of crying. At 2 p.m., everything changed. A 32-year-old woman in room 4 lost her baby in the 19th week. 19 weeks. I had only made it to 17. The last time, I had only made it to 12 and 10 before that. I went in to help the other nurses. The mother didn't cry. She just looked at the wall. Her husband sat in the chair and held her hand and said nothing. I'd seen that look before. I had been that look before. After it was over, I stepped into the hallway. I went to the sink at the end of the hall. I turned the faucet on. I let the water run. I used the sound to cover the fact that I couldn't breathe. Justin and I had had 3 miscarriages in 3 years. The most recent one was 6 weeks ago. We hadn't really talked about any of them. We ate dinner together. We watched Yellowstone every night. We went to bed. Like none of it had ever happened. My shift ended at 7. I didn't want to go straight home. I drove a different way, north on 74. I don't know why. I passed the Cracker Barrel and the Dollar General and the BP station. Then I saw a small diner I hadn't seen in years. Justin and I had eaten there once, in 2016, right after our wedding. We had never gone back. I pulled in. I ordered a black coffee and a slice of apple pie. The pie was warm. The coffee was bitter. I didn't know why I was there. That's when I ran into Ryan. He was sitting 3 tables away, waiting on a to-go order. He saw me first. He stood up. He walked over. He said, "Harper? Harper Reeves?" He used my maiden name. It took me 2 seconds to place him. 11 years. He looked older. He had a few gray hairs at the temples now, but the eyes were the same. The way his mouth moved when he was about to smile, that was the same too. Ryan. That was all I could say at first. We sat down. He told me about the divorce 2 years ago. He had a 6-year-old daughter named Chloe. He had moved to Monroe last year. He was a contractor now. He said his back hurt all the time, but he was happy enough. I told him about work, about the long hours, about the bills. I don't know how it happened. About 30 minutes in, I started talking about the miscarriages. I spilled the beans, all of it. The 3 losses, the blood, the waiting rooms, the way Justin kept the house too quiet afterward, the way I couldn't bring myself to look at baby clothes in Target anymore. It was the first time I had said any of it out loud, to anyone, not my mother, not my closest friend at the hospital, to a man I hadn't seen in 11 years. Ryan didn't try to fix it. He didn't say everything happens for a reason, which I would have hated. He just said, "That's a lot to carry alone." I said, "Who said I'm carrying it alone?" He didn't answer. I didn't either. The diner closed at 11:30. We walked out to the parking lot together. He hugged me, the kind of hug an old friend gives, nothing more. But I tilted my head up. I moved closer. I started it. He kissed me back for 4 seconds, then stepped away. "I shouldn't have done that," he said. "I did," I said. "That was me." He walked back to his truck. He didn't look back. I stood there for a minute and didn't move. Driving home on Highway 74, I didn't feel guilty the way I expected. I felt clean, like I had let out something that had been stuck in me for 3 years. That was what scared me the most. Clean wasn't the same as forgiven. I got home at 12:23 a.m. I lay on the couch with my coat still on. I didn't sleep. I watched the ceiling for almost 6 hours until the kitchen window started to turn gray. At 6:15, I heard Justin in the kitchen. He was already up. He was grinding coffee by hand. He had a small Hario manual grinder I had once called obsessive. He weighed out 18 grams on his little kitchen scale. His movements were slow, careful, like he had all the time in the world. I stood in the kitchen doorway for 40 seconds before he noticed me. I counted everything that morning. "You're up early," he said. "Couldn't sleep? Justin, can you sit down?" He turned off the grinder. He turned around. His face changed, not into panic, into something quieter, like a door closing slowly, like he had seen this look on someone before, and he already knew what was coming next. I bit the bullet. I told him directly. I didn't soften it. I had coffee with someone last night, a guy I dated in college. We talked. I kissed him. He stopped it. I came home. He was quiet for 15 seconds. I counted those too. "Did you sleep with him?" "No." "Are you going to see him again?" "No." "Do you want to?" I paused. I wanted to give him the right answer, the one that would close the door. But I couldn't lie this morning. I had used up all my lying. "I don't know what I want, Justin. That's the problem." He sat down. He put his hands flat on the table. His hands were red from working in cold houses all winter. There was a small cut on his thumb. He had probably gotten it yesterday at the Pineville job. I waited for the anger. I waited for him to cry. I waited for him to throw something. He did none of that. He just breathed. He breathed in. He breathed out. After 2 minutes, he stood up. He walked to the hallway cabinet, the one with the tax papers, the one with the mortgage documents, the one I never opened. He took out a craft envelope. It was already opened. The edges were worn. One corner had a brown thumbprint on it, like it had been opened and closed 100 times. He set it on the table in front of me. "Before you say anything else, you should read this. I should have given it to you a year ago. I didn't touch it. I looked at it the way you look at something that might bite you." He knows about Ryan, I thought. He already knew. Maybe someone saw us at the diner. Maybe Ryan called him. But something in my stomach said I was wrong about that. Completely wrong. "Justin, what is in here?" He sat down again. He didn't look at me. He looked at his hands. Just read it. The kitchen was very quiet. The coffee maker beeped. Finished. Neither of us got up to pour it. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room. I noticed that. That's what I would remember later. The smell of his 18 grams of fresh coffee going cold on the counter while my whole life cracked open on the kitchen table. I put my hand on the envelope. I felt how worn it was. The paper was soft, like a dollar bill that had been in someone's wallet too long. He had touched this paper many times. He had thought about giving it to me many times and had put it back. I took a breath. I opened the envelope. Inside was a lab report from a fertility clinic in Greenville, South Carolina. The date at the top was 14 months ago. It was Justin's report, not mine. Male factor, infertility. Low motility. There was a word I didn't recognize at first, structural, and then I figured out what it meant. The doctor's note at the bottom was clear. It said, "With current parameters, natural conception is highly unlikely." I read it 3 times. Each time, the words said the same thing. Justin's. Not mine. 3 years. 3 miscarriages. 3 years of me quietly believing my body was the problem. I had read so many blog posts about recurrent miscarriage. At 2 in the morning, every day, I had taken folic acid. There were 2 specialists I'd gone to see on my own. Both had said, "It could be many things. Sometimes there's no clear answer." All that time, Justin had driven 90 minutes down to Greenville, alone. He had had the tests done. He had gotten the results, and he had hidden them in the cabinet I never opened. I looked up. My voice was quiet. Why? He didn't look at me. He looked at his own hands. Because the day the second one happened, you were in the bathroom, and you wouldn't open the door for an hour. And when you came out, you said, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Over and over, you apologized to me, Harper, for your own body. And I couldn't let you keep apologizing for something that wasn't yours to apologize for. Then you should have told me. I know. Why didn't you? He was quiet for a long time. The kitchen clock ticked. A bird was making noise outside the window. "Finally," he said, "because I figured out it was me. And I thought, if you knew, you'd look at me different. You'd see something broken. I didn't want to be the broken thing. So I let you keep thinking it was you. I let you carry it." For 14 months, I stood up. I walked around the table. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had to move. I leaned on the counter. I put my hand on the handle of the coffee pot. It was hot. I didn't pull my hand back right away. I needed to feel something real for a second. Justin kept talking. His voice was flat. "I'm not telling you this to even the score. Yesterday was yesterday. A kiss is a kiss. I forgive you for that. I do. But I needed you to know. You were never the one who failed us. I was. Stop. Stop what? Stop trying to fix everything in one morning." I sat back down. There was morning light coming through the window now. A long ray of light moved slowly across the kitchen floor. It touched the edge of the lab report for just a second. The words, "highly unlikely," got bright for 1 second. Then the light moved on. 2 truths were sitting on the table between us. My kiss, his secret. Neither one canceled the other one out. 2 different wounds, 2 different timelines, 2 different ways of keeping something hidden. I tried to do the math in my head. He had been hiding the test for 14 months. I had been blaming myself for 3 years. I had been crying in bathrooms. I had been buying folic acid at the Walgreens by the highway every month for 3 years. He had watched me buy them. He had watched me take them, and he had said nothing. "How many times did you almost tell me?" I asked. He thought about it. "Maybe 100. And you didn't. And I didn't." I really looked at him. The man across the table from me had aged 10 years since this morning started. His shoulders were lower. His eyes looked tired in a new way. I thought I knew this man. I had been married to him for 9 years. I had folded his work shirts 1,000 times, and yet he had been carrying something this big, this whole time, and I had never even known. "I thought we were stable," I said. "We were." "No. Stable and honest aren't always the same thing, Justin. We were stable. We weren't honest. Not either of us." He nodded. He didn't argue. That was almost worse than arguing. We tried counseling. 1 session a week, $140 a session, and our insurance didn't cover any of it. The therapist's name was Margaret. She was in her 60s. She spoke slowly. She asked hard questions. In one session, she asked me, "Harper, when Justin hid the test result, what did that take from you that you can name?" I couldn't answer for 3 sessions. Then, in the fourth one, I said, "It took the part of me that thought I was the broken one, and I had built so much on top of that part. I don't know who I am without it." Margaret wrote something in her notebook. She didn't tell me what. Justin made an effort. For the first time, he opened up about the infertility. Not in clean sentences. In broken pieces. Late at night, when we were both too tired to perform, he cooked dinner 3 nights a week. He asked if I wanted to go to a Panthers game on a Saturday in October. I said yes. We went. We sat in Section B for 3 hours. We didn't touch. I started to figure something out. The real problem wasn't the kiss. It wasn't the hidden letter. It was the habit we had both built. The habit of hiding. I had hidden my loneliness. He had hidden the test results. Both of us had put up with the distance by pretending it wasn't there. One Sunday evening in November, we were sitting on our old couch. He was watching ESPN. The volume was low. I said, "Justin, I think I need to leave for a while." He didn't ask if it was about Ryan. He asked, "To go where?" "I don't know. Somewhere on my own," he cried. For the first time in 9 years, I watched him cry. He hadn't cried when we lost the first baby. He hadn't cried when his father died in 2021. He cried now, sitting on the couch, with ESPN on, with his hands flat on his knees, like he didn't know where else to put them. "You're choosing to leave when I'm finally telling the truth," he said. "Justin, I don't know who I am inside this marriage anymore. I've been someone's wife since I was 25. I need to find out what's left when I take that off. And I don't know if there's anything left. That terrifies me. But staying is worse." He didn't try to stop me. That hurt. Even though I had asked for it. I moved out over 4 days. I rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Steel Creek. It was $1,180 a month, with a $1,180 deposit. I borrowed the deposit from my mother. After I paid it, I had $237 left in my checking account. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital, the ones nobody else wanted. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., Fridays and Saturdays. Here is the part I'm not proud of. I walked away at the exact moment Justin was finally trying to be honest with me. I knew this. I left anyway. One night, in the empty apartment, I sat on the floor and ate a packet of top ramen. I had only one bowl, a blue plastic bowl from Dollar General. It cost me $1.25. I skipped the second seasoning packet. It was too salty for a person who had been crying. I didn't cry that night, though. I just thought about Ryan. I wasn't missing him. I was just wondering. I opened a text message to him. I typed, "Don't reach out. Please." I didn't send it. I left it in my drafts. For the first time in my 34 years on this earth, I was living completely alone. There was no roommate, no husband, no mother in the next room, just me, a blue plastic bowl, and the sound of the heater clicking on at 1 a.m. I didn't know if this was a win or a loss. Maybe both. Maybe neither. A year later, a Sunday morning in October. I am a charge nurse now. I got the promotion in June. It came with a raise of $4.20 an hour. Not big money, but enough. Enough to stop counting quarters in the parking lot of the Harris Teeter before I went grocery shopping. I still live in the same one-bedroom apartment in Steel Creek. I never moved somewhere bigger. I got used to it. The way the bathroom door doesn't quite close. The way the upstairs neighbor walks heavy at 6 a.m. The way the kitchen light flickers if you turn it on too fast. Justin moved to Asheville in April. He sold the house in Pineville. He bought a smaller place near Black Mountain. On my birthday, August 14, he sent me a text. It said, "Happy 35. Hope you're well. D." I wrote back, "Thank you. You too. Nothing more. Nothing less." Ryan reached out twice during that year. The first time was after 3 months. He said, "I'm sorry about everything. If you ever want to talk." The second time was after 7 months. He said, "My daughter started kindergarten. Thought of how I'd told you about her. Hope you're good." I didn't reply to either one. Not because I hate him, because I figured something out. Ryan wasn't the point. I think I knew that even at the diner. I had been stuck somewhere for 3 years, and I needed a way out. He happened to be standing there. This morning, I took the Hario manual grinder out of a box. Justin had left it for me when he moved out. He hadn't said anything about it. He had just put it on my kitchen table the day he came over to drop off the rest of my stuff. I had put it away in the closet for 11 months. I hadn't been ready to look at it. This morning, I was ready. I weighed 18 grams on the small scale. I went slowly, the way he used to. For the first time, I understood why he did it that way. It wasn't obsessive. It was that when your hands are busy measuring, your head doesn't have to think about anything else. I poured the coffee into a mug. 1 mug. In this whole apartment, I only have 3 mugs. 1 to use. 2 as backup, in case someone comes over. Nobody really does. I drank it. The mug was still warm in my hands. I sat by the window. Outside, somebody was walking a small dog on the sidewalk. The dog was wearing a little sweater. I didn't think about Justin. I didn't think about Ryan. I thought about the fact that my shift started at 4 p.m., and I needed to eat before I went in. There was half a container of leftover lasagna in the fridge from last night. I would heat it for 90 seconds. I wasn't a victim. I kissed him back. I left a man who was finally telling the truth. Both of those are true. The cup is still warm. That's what I have today.
Honestly, I'm a little mad at Harper. She left Justin the exact moment he finally told the truth. Sure, sitting on that test for 14 months is bad. I get it. But he was really trying. He cried on that coat, something he hasn't done once in 9 years. And did anyone catch the gas tank thing? 9 years of filling her tank every Tuesday without saying a word? That's real, quite low. I'm not saying she had to stay, but the timing was brutal. She walked out right when he finally showed up. Then again, I've seen this before. People hide stuff to protect each other, and it just makes everything worse. Maybe they both needed a break. The Hario grinder scene at the end really got me. Hidden in a closet for 11 months, then just casually zipped one morning. That hit hard. Alright, now it's your turn. Be honest, was Harper right to leave? Or did she walk out on the best thing she had? Let me know in the comment, and thank you so much for watching.